to pay for my care, or I have multiple rental property, and this one collect 30,000 a year, that one collect 20,000 a year, and this one collect 30,000 a year, and I'm going to use those money for myself. I said that's okay too. But the problem is that would you rather do it for dollar, or you could plan ahead a little bit more, so $1 can turn into $5, or $6, or $8, or $9, or $10 sometimes, right? So number one. Number two, how many of you would actually have a good spouse, a good kids, or good grandkids, or like we talked about, a good neighbor, right, or sibling that would take care of you, and that is on the family side. And number three, government. A lot of people, this is the biggest blind spot. Government will pay for it. I have health insurance. I have Medicare, and then I thought that all this tax that we pay, the government will take care. Well, let me tell you, they do take care of a little bit. Sandy just mentioned, the first 3 nights of hospital stay, right, no problem. The first 20 days, they are full cover. Doesn't matter how much would that be, full cover. 21 to 100 days, it changes every year. 2025, that number is 204 a day. 204 a day. So that means that if, like Sandy's father-in-law is actually in the facility, how much actually they will pay? I mean, they need to pay out of pocket. $6,000 they got to pay out of pocket every single month. Right, $6,000 they need to pay out of pocket, which is in a year $77,000 after tax money. Right, and after that they won't. Or you have to be extremely poor. And by the way, if you're thinking about qualifying this, I would ask you to snap out of that thinking. Why? Because it's getting tougher and tougher for that. And I'll show you some number, you will know why. Alright, so it's getting tougher and tougher, and that's also what the Trump administration is actually doing. Right? Because you know what? One of the biggest factor for our debt is because of this. Right? So getting tougher and tougher. And also, if you have a home, you receive the care, right? If you don't have any other asset, you only have like the $2,000 in the bank, and then guess what? You could claim, but if you have a home after you pass away, they're going to take those money from the proceeds later on when you pass away. Right? So that is the Medi-Cal portion of that. And then the other one, the last one, is the insurance program. Right? So you got to get into, look into this. So now, let's take a look at this. Remember that the letter that I showed? Right? Why this is happening? Why all of a sudden, right? And states are actually having this kind of program? I keep this one, I highlighted this. This was actually when I screenshot this in 2023. And guess what? The interesting thing is, I want you to take a look at Medicare liability, $35 trillion, right? And Social Security liability, 22. Why we have all this problem, right? And then if you take a look at the government's income, where right now it's about $5 trillion, but yet our spending at that point in 2023, our government income is 4.6. Our spending was 6.3. Right now, our earning is about $5 trillion, which is the income for the country. If you treat the country as a family, that's the income of $5 trillion. But our spending is $7 trillion. And that is why this problem is big. Why I have to show you a 2023 one? Because right now, if you log onto this website, you don't see this number anymore. I don't know why it is no longer there. They don't show this number anymore. They don't show this number. They don't show that number. They don't show this number anymore. There's no way that you could find those numbers anymore. Right? So that is starting from 2024, they take that out. So now, there's no way to be able to see. So that's why I have to show you an old one. And because of that created a huge problem right now. And this was the CARE Act from Washington. At that point, they signed into law. They were the first state out of the United States. And then for those people who actually earn money, they're getting a W-2, only, W-2 only, right? So if you're self-employed, you don't need to worry about that, right? You don't need to worry about that. But 0.58%, right? And then is there a cap of contribution? No, that means that if you're 20, you got to continue pay to like 60-something. Now, but if I am 60-something, a few more years before my full retirement, right? So You got to, whenever you work in Washington State, you got to do that. The total amount, not annually, not monthly, but the total amount. You could pay for 40 years, but the total amount, it will be inflation adjusted, but the total amount is $36,500. Why is that number? That's only intended to pay $100 a day for 1 year, right? So that's why a lot of people, when this first came out, a lot of people, they would be like, oh, you know what, no, I'm not going to pay for that. I'm going to get my own. Because when I get my own, I got exempt from this, right? So now, but exactly what California's AB Assembly Bill 567, what are they going to be? Nobody knows yet, right? They only have enough information, only have enough to talk about what kind of things that they will need and all that. So right now, if you would actually log on to the Department of Insurance website, I don't look at any other website, I only look at this website. And then, because this is the only legit website, they're talking about all the government stuff in here. And then under the long-term care session, if you go into this long-term care task force, and they will actually talk about, you know, what kind of meeting that they have, and then you get in here, they actually have the final draft of the actual report. They already send this to an actual actuary company. They figure everything out. They come up with 5 plans. Government is going to take into consideration of this 5 plan. The cheapest one is 0.6%. The most expensive one is 3% of tax, payroll tax. And by the way, for California, they already stated it is not going to be W-2 only. It's any income. So which just means that it could be a 1099, right? It could be a rental income. It could be a W-2, right? So, and that's what they actually talked about. And this is actually the latest. This is actually the latest map. This is the 2024 map of who is actually working now. This one is already active, okay? And then the one that was very close is on, that already have gone through the registration process, and this is based on 2024, right? So, and California and New York State is the closest of rolling it out. And registration being designed, right? High level of discussion, you know, and then the lighter color one is discussing right now. So overall, just about like a year ago, there are only 20 states. Now there's 23 or 24, I forgot to count, but 23, 24 states now. So, oh no, but minus that one is 23. Yeah, so 23 states are working on it right now. Now, will that, everyone will withdraw from it? I don't think so. This is the tendency of, first is like 6 states, you know, and then 11 states, and 13 states. Now, 23 states. They are working on it right now. So that's something that we got to alarm and pay attention to, okay? All right, so now let's take a look at, they're actually, I'm closing to the end of my presentation. People ask that what type of program that you could have. The most common one outside of, in the long-term care insurance arena, number one is the standalone long-term care, right? And most of those plans, and there actually have been 2 companies. It's more like a, kind of like a cash that they give to you and then you can hand to anyone. But those companies are no longer doing new business, which is they know it's too much liability for them, right? So all of them right now, we are pretty much like reimbursement right now. Reimbursement means that you got to pay for the money first, get the receipt, send it to the insurance company to get the money back, right? So that's reimbursement. And then there's another one called the, oh, and by the way, what the pros and cons for this one. Now this one, basically for this is that because it's more of a, they're regulated by health insurance. So what that means is that the premium could increase. So if you would take a look at the standalone long around, there's only 4 to 5 companies that long What that means is that they completely calculate or underestimate the cost of it. So that's why, because it's a health insurance regulated, they could increase the premium. And most of the policy, if you see that those policies, they were issued in the late 80s, the mid 90s, and even in the 2000s. And almost all of those policies have increased at least about 2 to 3 times. And then the increase rate is from 8 to 50%. So that means someone before they were thinking about only 2, because based on the life expectancy that they calculate, they were thinking about people who are only going to live to 72, and then now people living to 80 something, right? So they're paying more and more. And the very beginning, when long-term care, standalone long-term care came out, their direct thinking was like man and woman have the same equal need. And then later on, they figure out when the pool gets a little bit bigger, the number gets a little bit more. Now that they were able to do the statistic, the study and all that, it turns out women needed long-term care way more than men. So life insurance and men cost more because men lived shorter. Am I right? And then, but for long-term care, women cost more because they have more need. It was all based on the need base, on that situation. So because of that, that one was never popular because of it's either use it or lose it, right? Use it or lose it. And also you cannot predict when they are going to increase the price. And then and for that, it was quiet for a while. People know they have the need, but they don't want to go get the program. Until about 10, 13 years ago, this type of program came out, the linked benefit program. And the linked benefit program is what? You have a big lump sum of money, and then they will turn into a small life insurance. Like, I have 100,000 put into this plan. This will turn into maybe 150 to about 200,000 life insurance. So if I die, I never needed the long-term care, and this is going to be the death benefit paying back to my family. So people that was and 60 and all that, and they have some health issue, and they actually like that because in the bank they already have maybe 200,000-300,000 sitting there for many years already. Now that I just move a place, if I never need it, the money will come back 50 or 100% more. But when I need it, this money will turn into 4 times or 5 times, depends on your age, that they will come back to take care of you. And that is the linked benefit program, or sometimes they call it asset care program, right? So some of them, they are reimbursement. Some of them, they are cash indemnity. What does cash indemnity means? Cash indemnity means that most of the time when it comes to reimbursement, family member cannot take care of you and get paid. Cannot. Parents, kids, all that cannot. Siblings, no. Right? So on this, you get to hire someone different, and then not family to take care of you, they can get paid. But for cash indemnity, it's different. Cash indemnity is, say like that, if they said my monthly benefit could be 10,000, assuming, right? So monthly benefit is 10,000. They could hire someone with 4,000, and I can pay the rest of the 6,000 to my daughter to take care of me. Or when I get older now, my daughter is staying home, taking care of the kids in the house, wife now, and my daughter can come and take care of me. I could pay the entire 10,000 to my daughter. That is absolutely fine. Or you know what, I can pay her 6,000 and then let her take the rest of the 4,000 to take care of some whatever the expenses in the household. Can I do that? Absolutely. And that is the cash indemnity. Now, of course, if you take a look at that, right? Normally this might give you a little bit more, but it's all based on reimbursement, right? But yet, out of this one is still the more popular ones. I mean, at least based on all the clients that I have, right? So, and if you show them both, and most of the people they would pick this one. And also that on this one, they would have programs that husband and wife can combine together, right? Jointly and doing that as well. Okay, so that's the linked benefit program. Now, last one is the current life insurance policy since 2012 or 2011 that they start having a life insurance program. They add a long-term care rider in there. What does that mean? What is a long-term care rider? Basically, it's kind of like an okay cost inside your life insurance that. Because before life insurance, only when I die, the money would pass to my next generation, am I right? But right now, they allow me to use it if I qualify for, remember that 2 out of 6 ADL? Or the cognitive impaired? Then I can use it. And I know this, because I get started in this industry in 2002. For 2002 to 2012, a lot of people, when they get to their 50, they don't look at life insurance anymore. Why? Because, kids is already start getting older, houses almost paying off. Who cares about life insurance at that point? Right? So, but now, after 2012, 2013, a lot of people, they start looking at that or reviewing their old policy because, now they all of a sudden they figure that, oh, if I live short, it's taking care of my family. If I live long, it's taking care of me. So then, say like I have $1 million policy, those million, they could advance that and pay to take care of me with a little bit extra cost to make that. That's called a long-term care rider in there, right? Long-term care rider. Now, but for this one, it's a little bit tough. It's because, you know what, this one, and the younger you are, the better because you're healthier, right? You're healthier. So, with a lot of people right now that I have clients at 40 and 50s and all that, they probably already have some old insurance policy that they have when they're in their 20 or early 30, when they start a family and have kids. They already accumulated some money already. A lot of them, they could actually upgrade it to a program with long-term care. Of course, the hiccup would be the health insurance, not health insurance. So those are things that people should look into at their a lot of people in their policies, so I have run and things about for those people that come talking like Jonathan, I actually have a care policy, I have long-term care in my policy. It means about 40-some% of those people that they come in, they did not have a long-term care policy, but they have an ABR. What is in the ABR? It's accelerated benefit rider, which is all sometimes people call the living benefit, right? So you need to look into it to see whether a lot of people, they actually did not pay attention. But if you look into their illustration or the policy, they actually have something talk about ABR riders are not a long-term care insurance. So what that means is that if you have a policy like this in Washington State at that time, when they can claim and exempt from that payroll tax, this type of program will not. Why? Because it's actually governed by different IRS code. Internal Revenue Code for long-term care is 7702. For living benefit is 101G. Section 101G is a totally two different things. So a lot of people, they thought that they have it. Now, don't get me wrong. This also will pay if you actually qualify for the 2 out of 6 ADL or the cognitive impaired. But the reason that you claim you got to show the proof that it will not get better. Like that scenario that I told you, the lady actually had a hip replacement surgery. That would get better. For that one, she won't be able to get paid on that because it's not diagnosed to be last forever. You got that? Now, but if they have dementia, Alzheimer, Parkinson, could they get that? Yes, but it's on a discounted, right? So it's the different tax code, 101G and 7702. Okay, so that is something that I encourage a lot of people. I said, if you have that already, bring it to us. Let's review it for you, right? Let's review it for you. It is either a yes or no. There's no maybe, no gray area right there. Okay, and then so you can see what you can do from there. So you better prepare instead, right? So instead of at that claim time, all of a sudden you got this surprise, right? So knowledge, and I want to talk to people. I said, knowledge is not power. Because I can show you a video on Michael Phelps, teach you how to swim, right? But will you know how to swim? Unless you jump into the pool, am I right? So applying it is, right? Knowledge is not power, but applying the knowledge is. So what do I mean by that? And you got to think about this. If you wanted to look into that, the long-term care thing, there's a few things in here. Number one, you got to figure out your need and goal. If Sandy's in-law, now of course, by the time that she married to June, mom already needed the health issue already there, so they cannot qualify for long-term care, right? They cannot qualify for long-term care. And then but if they actually have that, now that they don't need to claim, they already claimed $707,000 already. I remember that when they sold a home in New York, they profit about $900,000. So I think that situation continue to go on, all the money is going to drain. So their thinking was like, I'm going to leave everything for my son, my only son. So everything is going to drain right now, right? So you got to take a look at the need and the goal, number one. Number two, suitability is actually a big thing, right? Can I afford it? Is it suitable for me to do? Which one is more suitable for me to do, right? So affordability, and then you go into the product and the design. So this is actually the process that you got to be. Whatever you have, you got to do some kind of review, right? So, and then in here, nothing better than the learning, because you know what? I spent an hour or two to sit down with you. Probably after that, a week or 2 weeks later, you will give back all those information to me. The only way that you'll be able to retain all those information is really learning, right? So really learning. It's not giving someone else a fish, but teaching them how to fish. And that's the financial classes that we offer in this business. Out of the 22 years in the business right now, 23 years now, in this business, I've never made a phone call, I never knocked on the door, I never spent a dime in advertisement. A business I've never stopped. Why? The education platform. Because you know what? Imagine if I give the education to people, once that they learn, they will identify. People are smart. They will identify themselves. Whether I need this or I don't need this. Because you know what, yes?
Hello, Jonathan.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Uh-huh.
So I came in late, I'm sorry. So I understand, so the bottom line is very expensive. We need to do the plan. I think that's my takeaway.
Uh-huh.
What can people do? Like my mom, 70, right?
Mm-hmm.
What can I do right now for my mom?
This is like going back to my second slide. You came in a little late.
Yeah.
My second slide is talking about your circumstances, your situation, your risk tolerance level, your financial strains, right? That's all dictate what plan that you have. If you prepare it at 40 or 50, of course it's going to be much easier and cheaper and more option than 70 and 80. But don't get me wrong though. I help someone with 78 with something. So it all depends on the situation, but you got to sit down and go over that. Yes?
May I also add a recent client scenario?
Sure, go ahead.
Answer this question?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, can you use that?
This client is my neighbor, and she's 76 years old, and she has a existing life insurance, has about 60,000 cash value, and her current death benefit is 460,000, and so I help her to utilize her current cash value. If I do that at her age right now, the death benefit. The reason why she talked to me is her mom is already 98 years old. She's 76. She said, maybe 80 years old, I won't need a wheelchair, but by 90, I'm sure I will need it. So she knows the current policy will not work for her. So she said, Lipa, can you look at and see what other option can help me? I told her if she get a new life insurance, she won't get that death benefit at all. It's going to be very low. So I told her there are other options, maybe long-term care, and she agreed with that. So I help her with the Asset Care product with the unlimited long-term care.
That's awesome.
And she's very happy with that. At age 76,
yeah,
she still can get it.
Very good, very good. Thank you, Lipa. Yeah, so that's one of the things. And also, a big thing, when people making a decision of moving forward, most importantly is two things got to be in place. Number one, the knowledge. They got to understand it. Number two, trust. But the interesting thing, for both knowledge and trust, there's one common denominator for that, which is time. You got to have time to build the trust. You got to have time to build knowledge. And that's why we offer the education platform. So that people can come in. And from there, some people, they look into business opportunity. Right? Because if they figure that, oh, you know what, if I need this kind of help, my surrounding market may need that as well. Right? My surrounding market. And then if you take a look at an opportunity right now, the financial industry, and this is actually an old number. Last time when I checked, this is a $137 trillion in the financial services sector. And then now, real estate to shrink a little bit, right? Retail shrink a little bit. But even at that point, financial is doubling the second and the third combined, right? Doubling second and third combined. So take a look at the population right now in this major states and all that. So that is the market out there, the people that would really need something like this, right? So next, my last thing that I wanted to share with you is, number one, set appointment, right? At least to get to know, identify your blind spot. What would that be like, and if you mentioned about talking about the blind spot, 70-year-old, what could we do for that, right? Review what you have done before, right? If you already have a life insurance policy, if I have a long-term care policy, and I've seen, for Social Security, if someone